Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond, and I am on here today to do a quick political check-in with you all. As always, so much going on, but something that Spirit gave me, and I'm gonna go to the cards, want to talk to you about it. Would love to get your feedback and your comments. Uh, this is an incredible platform for us to share ideas, to share information, to just increase awareness, especially as we're in this election year in America. Um, I'm getting the sense, you all, that that there is literally like a Stop the Steal 2.0 movement already being put into motion, already at play. And there's a couple of things I want to go to Spirit and talk to you all about today. Why I'm feeling that. Um, Couple of things. One, woke up. It has to do with the people who are already in elected offices in the states who have really tight and serious ties to January 6th, 2021, right? Now, I woke up this morning in one of the stories that I saw from the breaking story, I think, from the Huffington Post, and it says, the headline says, Trump County Chair, this is in New Hampshire, Trump County Chair threatened to rape his boss's wife and then kill him. His name is Jonathan Stone. That's this county chair in New Hampshire. He's a former police officer and he's been a part of Trump's campaign since 2016. In 2016, he actually gave Trump an inscribed AR-15 assault rifle. All right. So here he is. Come to find out, he has since, after his participation in the January 6th situation, Jonathan Stone went on in 2022 to become an elected to the House of Representatives in the state of New Hampshire, right? Like how? And I was looking into that, and it would take too long on this recording, but invite many of you to go and look this up. There are a number of people who were leaders in that Jan 6 riot insurrection who went on then to, instead of quieting down, yes, we know many of them were prosecuted, but many others went on to dig in deeper and run for office, and many of them have in fact been elected to office, i.e., my next person I want to talk about a little bit. We all heard about this holy roller tongue talking in the state senate in Arizona, where led by Anthony Kern, where right prior to the Arizona Supreme Court deciding that they want to roll back time over 200 years or practically 200 years, and came up with this 1864 ban on abortion. Anthony Kern was, many of us have seen, I'm sure you've seen the videos by now, they've gone viral, was led a prayer circle in the Arizona State Senate, in a circle around the seal, the state seal. So it kind of looked a little ritualistic. It was really disturbing. Um, led this prayer circle. People are, he's leading this prayer. God, let it be so, let it be so. That the Supreme Court was going to, in fact, enact this ban that goes back to 1864. So he's piping on, leading this prayer. And women, that's what I was clued into, because on the topic of abortion, like the idea that there are women who are brainwashed and really voting against their own interests, moving against their own interests as a collective for all the gains, hard fought gains that have been made by women in this country on abortion rights, etc., things across the board. So, sure enough, I saw women and they're bowed down, faces to the floor, and they're just going in. It was like they were having a rapture or something. It was unbelievable. Now, I want to be clear, as a former, as a Reformed Baptist, I'm all about expressions with the Holy Spirit, and understanding the states of what some would consider states of ecstasy that can prompt speaking in tongues. I get all of that. Trust me, that big part of my background. So I'm not knocking that, but in the context that we're talking about, in the on the Senate, on the state Senate floor, The whole idea of the separation of church and state, but also what's interesting, going back to, Stop the Steal 2.0, come to find out, Anthony Kern, because I wasn't really familiar with him, so I looked into him. Anthony Kern was a fake elector. He was one of the people in who certified the fake election of Donald Trump. And he was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Now, apparently he has not faced any prosecution because he did not actually go into the Capitol, but he certainly, it's documented, he tweeted from his social media accounts that he was in Washington for D-Day, and that he was definitely a part of the hashtag Stop the Steal campaign. So he had an ethics complaint filed against him, Anthony Kern did, because it was apparently, I don't know what the outcome of it was, but it was he was suspected of using campaign funds to fund his trip to DC for the Jan 6 insurrection, right? His plane ticket, his hotel, etc. So that was a no-no. Not sure what happened on that or if he was sanctioned, but clearly he's still in the Senate and he was leading this prayer, all right? Moving on. So he's tightly tied to Jan 6. We got this guy threatening to rape his boss's wife and kill folks who still got elected. I'm like, who was vetting these people? He got elected to the New Hampshire House of Representatives after all of this in 2022. So we'll see what the Trump campaign does about whether they keep him as the county chair in New Hampshire. The state chair has come out when he was approached about it and said, Mr. Stepanek said, he, quote unquote, it's going to get handled by Mar-a-Lago in consultation with me, meaning him. So we'll see what happens with that. I have a feeling they're going to try and just sweep it under the rug, because clearly people who, again, going into this Stop the Steal 2.0 that's underway already, months before the election even, is really gaining momentum, and the idea that these are not just the fringe element that many of us, or the far right MAGAs that many of us saw on our television screens who committed the atrocities at the Capitol on January 6th. But these are now elected officials who are in positions of power, and that's really, really interesting. Third, Stop the Steal 2.0. I hear that the RNC, co-chaired by Lara Trump, has put out a robocall that reached an estimated 145,000 people or more, that is warning people, and this is a quote, that in the massive fraud of 2020, massive fraud, quote unquote, there were no photo IDs, unsecured ballot drop boxes, mass mailings of ballots, and voter rolls full of deceased people and non-citizens. We've heard all of that before, but they are promoting that this is a current robocall that's gone out to voters. So they are already drumming that up. We have tomorrow, on Friday, I'm taping this on Thursday the 11th, Friday, we have Mike Johnson headed to Mar-a-Lago, and apparently it's being announced that he and DJT are going to do a joint press conference about election integrity. Timing of that robocall and the lead up to this press conference. So I'm going to go to Spirit and see what that's all about. Secondly, I also want to do a quick check-in with Spirit on, so FISA or FISA, the Intelligence Security Act, Foreign Intelligence Security Act. Thought it was passed. Then all of a sudden it wasn't. Trump apparently made the call to GOP in Congress, and to GOP leaders in Congress, and said, don't want this, need to kill it. Made me think about, okay, there's been a lot of coverage around, he still has an axe to grind. Trump has an axe to grind about Russian interference and all of that came up in the 2016 election, right? So we know he's out to just dismantle any and everything that he has a gripe against, a grudge against, including apparently the United States government in total. But that's part of his deal. Interestingly, though, what Spirit pinged me, and this is what I want to look at, we have Jared Kushner, who has his organization called Affinity Partners. And he has gone on to raise or invest in upwards of, I saw figures around 1.2 billion to $3 billion that he's got going on with almost totally foreign investors. Okay. I wonder if part of DJT's impetus behind wanting to kill FISA is because on another hand, his son-in-law is raising all of this money and doing all of these foreign deals, and they don't want, from what I understand, even when Jared was in, making all of these deals with the Saudi Arabian prince, that some of it was taking place, some of the communications were taking place over WhatsApp. All right. So why not, want to kill off anything that could, trace warrantless tracing of something that could be perceived as a threat to the United States. All right. So I'm wondering, Spirit, is there a connection there? Is that part of what's driving? Is this self-interested being able to conduct business with foreign entities without having it traced by the government? Strength. Duh. Right? Strength right out the deck. It's a belief in the entitlement to not being tracked. That there's almost like a who are you to dare, how dare you interfere in what I need to do internationally, because clearly that is a big thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, has now been dubbed by some people as Moscow Marjorie, right? Because with all of her hoopla against any aid for Ukraine, she is really echoing a lot of Putin's sentiments and other distractors or detractors of democracy. She is actually being a mouthpiece for that. So I think there's something to this. Spirit, please clarify. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Absolutely, you all. There is, through Kushner and thereby also DJT himself, there is so much happening and developing with foreign entities that the idea that the United States government would have the wherewithal to continue to, if there is some suspicion of international intrigue or something that is detrimental to the United States, that just the possibility that they would have the capability to tap into some of these things that are happening behind the scenes, that has a lot to do with why DJT wants to get rid of it. It says game over on this card, right? Game over. For him, that's what this is killing this bill, aside from the fact of how it would open up and really put the United States national security at risk. That's all aside. Like it's so personally motivated and driven that the national interests absolutely have nothing to do with it. But yes, I feel like I'm getting a definite confirmation, you all. There is a tie between the self-interests. Yes, Trump in terms of his campaign, 10 of Pentacles, absolutely. But they don't want the money that will be made, vis-a-vis DJT and Kushner, his son-in-law, married to his daughter, right, Ivanka. They don't want any of this to be able to be traced, because they know there already were questions around Kushner and the money that he got from the Saudis. Yeah, and the son. Thank you, Spirit. I don't even need more confirmation than that. And the son. They see this as a way forward, and building, also remembering how cash strapped Trump is. And so you got Jared Kushner over here raking in the dough. They say he's getting $40 million. His organization's getting $40 million just for management fees. So that's just that's just cut off the top, right? That's what this is about. It really is. It is about self-preservation. It is about greed. It is about being motivated and wanting to hide and not have the ability to trace these kinds of transactions. That's so interesting. But okay. Now, I want to look at this press conference, Stop the Steal 2.0. I really think, for lack of a better phrase, I think that's what's happening. There's this election integrity announcement that's going to be made between Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. Of course, Mike Johnson is fighting for his job. He met with Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday on Wednesday the 10th. Nothing really came of it. She came, she walked out. She hasn't put the vote on the floor yet to oust him. I think in part that is because apparently Mike Johnson has been meeting with Trump regularly. This also, in timing wise, it was interesting. This is when, right before Trump came out with his Bible and started making a really clear, direct appeal to evangelicals. He's been, now he's the second coming. He's being prosecuted, etc., or persecuted, I should say, and prosecuted, right? But a lot of this started coming out when he was getting together more, and he was building this connection with Mike Johnson, Mike Moses Johnson, as we say. So I want to see, Spirit, this election integrity press conference. Is there going to be an announcement and something put forth in line with this robocall that went out from Lara Trump and the RNC? Stop the Steal 2.0, ballots, mail-in ballots, etc. Are they putting forward some sort of policies or program to try and alter the way the votes are cast in November? The Hanged Man. I want to get another card on that because I see that come in two different ways. The Star. Okay, good. I need it. This is fantasy versus reality, you all. Yes, it is going to have to do with reforms that they're going to suggest about mail-in voter IDs, mandatory voter IDs, mail-in ballots, shortening the time for people to be able, if they are allowed, shortening the time frame for mail-in balloting, that sort of thing. But it's fantasy. The hangman ruled by Neptune can often indicate where it's what you are imagining the possibilities, imagining the worst, imagining, tens of thousands of dead people, the deceased having cast illegal ballots or etc. So they're gonna paint this whole picture in line with that robocall, rehashing Stop the Steal 2.0, all of these scenarios that did not happen, that were not true, that were not factual. But I think that's they're considering, how do we sell this? How do we repackage it and sell it in a way that is convincing? And the Star is coming. Star ruled by Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. Change in the systems, and change in with Uranus, you're very often dealing with technology. And so data, how data is handled, how votes are cast. Man, oh man, that's it. This is Stop the Steal 2.0. There's a 4 cups here. They're going to play to and the Fool. Yep. They're going to propose new measures to basically eliminate a non-existent threat. All right, they're going to articulate what that is. They're going to, with that 4 of Cups, they're going to play to people's emotions, those who may still, right, wrong, or otherwise, be convinced that there was something funky that happened with the 2020 election. And they're going to use that as a launch pad to introduce some sort of measures that strictly limit people's ability to cast their votes. In November, we have the 6 of Wands, and the Hermit. You know what? And that's what Mike Johnson is all in on this, you all, because that is what Mike Johnson needs with, if he's hand in hand with Trump on this, and he's, sanctioned by Trump and takes all of this back to Congress, that saves him, for at least for the time being. And it puts Marjorie Taylor Greene on notice that, hey, listen, for right now, from Trump, for right now, Mike Johnson is useful to me. I'm going to need you to hold up. Don't put that vote on the floor. We don't need that right now. He is useful in this regard. How long? We don't know, because we know that there is no loyalty with Donald Trump. He's only, as long as Mike Johnson is expedient and useful to him. Yes, I will say this too. While we're talking about stop the steal, I did see that, and many of you have as well. The U.S. Capitol Police, they are already on it. They're already planning for Jan 6, 2025. They're like, we will not be caught off guard again. So they have hired more officers. From what I understand, there is also a mechanism in place where, should something get out of hand, they now have a clear channel to the National Guard. They don't have to wait for someone else to call in the National Guard. We remember what happened with that, and who did not act, even though, for hours, even though implored to do so. So the U.S. Capitol Police now, they apparently have a clear channel to the National Guard should that be necessary. And also, from what I understand, they are hiring prosecutors already in advance of the January 6, 2025 swearing in, because they want to make sure that they have all of the parameters in place to not get caught like they did before, and to make sure that they're protected, make sure that people are secure, and to make sure that their officers, the Capitol Police, feel like they themselves will be protected and secure to carry out their duties in their job. We have the Page of Wands, the Hierophant. Yes. From a structural standpoint, the Hierophant, it very often we think of it in religious context, but in the context of a political reading, this feels like structure to me. This feels like governmental structure to me. So yes, the Capitol Police are going to be very, very well equipped. They are. It will not be a 2.0 stop the steal event for them. They will be ready. There will be measures in place for them to secure the people in the Capitol, to the congressional leaders in the Capitol, or congressional people in the Capitol. They will be able to secure and take care of their own, the Capitol Police, those who are in charge, and they will have resources that they can call on should that need arise. All right, so let's see what happens, you all, with this announcement coming out tomorrow between Mike Johnson and Donald Trump. But it does look like it is the beginning of Stop the Steal 2.0 before the election in November, and it is going to be designed to, this so-called election integrity is going to be taking fantasy and painting it as reality, and then taking that back to Congress. And that's going to be Mike Johnson's marching orders in order for him to hold on to his job. We'll see how that works out. All right, you all, take really good care. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.